everybody. Welcome to the latest Wonder Woman Says. I know it's taken us a few extra days, but we're still here. We haven't forgot about you. We got some more comics to review. We actually got comics from two characters we never reviewed on this show before. So there's going to be some new stuff, so to speak.
Is it ironically new?
I don't know about ironically.
Because you did the finger quote, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it's new to this show. I don't think either of these characters appeared in any of the books we reviewed so far.
That's what we got.
Well, first up, we got the last issue of Deathstroke Inc. This is actually a pretty interesting series from the little bit I've seen of it. I think Deathstroke been underrated for a long time now.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Deathstroke is the guy that Deadpool is a ripoff of.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Well, here we see Slade and his wife. He's about to go on what she thinks is a camping trip, but of course we know better than that.
I remember I was glancing over your shoulder a minute ago and I was like, is that Quicksilver and Wanda?
Nah, well, maybe if it was might be it was a different company, maybe.
It's like they're doing the whole, I don't think they're doing it anymore, but it was like the whole twincest thing.
Then we see his son come up. Of course, his son's sad to see him leaving. He tried to tell him not to be sad because he said like real men don't cry. You know, of course we've been hearing that for years, but I ain't gonna go into that one. Of course, his partner comes to pick him up so he could go on the trip that his family think he's taking. But of course, it's actually a mission, actually a revenge mission to be exact.
Are they going after Bigfoot?
Well, not quite.
It'd be cooler if they were.
Yeah. Was along the way, start talking about the doctor that experimented on Slade. The experiment that would lead Slade to become Deathstroke in the first place. The one that he happened to survive that the other soldiers didn't. They start talking about some of the soldiers that died from this experiment going awry. Because it angers Slade too. All he wants is payback. And they see Slade's wife and son go to the store. We see his wife take a pregnancy test. I don't know where that one's heading.
Well, hopefully she has a Dixon Ticonderoga No. 2 pencil.
Yeah. And then pretty much he lets his son go and get a treat to snack on. They agree to get a movie to rent for later. Later that night, Slade and his partner go meet up with the person that's gonna help them carry out this mission to assassinate the doctor that did the experiment.
Who's that? I'm trying to figure out who that guy reminds me of. I think, oh yeah, that's right. You never really read any Milestone comics, but I was gonna say, do you know the Alva from Hardware bad guy?
No, not really. But it's funny you bring him up because actually, there's an ad in this comic for Hardware. Yeah, so it's very coincidentally timed that you brought that up. Of course, we see the suit that will become the Deathstroke suit. The Deathstroke suit, which I say looks really cool here.
Although they put it next to the red hood, so that's kind of an interesting parallel.
Yeah. Of course, Slade's not approving of the color scheme. Then we see Slade / Deathstroke doing some target practice, and his friend is pretty much trying to talk him out of doing what he's getting ready to do, but Slade ain't hearing it. He wants revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And they're about to go to Seattle to go get this guy. I ain't gonna take you no further because I don't want to spoil it. Although I will say it's a nice surprise at the end.
Yeah, it turns out the guy's Chris Novoselic.
Well, they are in Seattle, so maybe.
Alrighty, so what are we thinking?
I think it was a very good story. This is supposedly the origin story for year one. This is part 2 of it. You know, obviously the previous issue was the beginning of it. I think it's going in a very interesting direction. I'm glad that Deathstroke getting this chance to shine finally. Because I think he deserves a lot more than what he's been getting over the years from DC. I think he has the potential to become a really major character. Really major anti-hero type like the Punisher over in Marvel. Or like you said, Deadpool, the very character that this character inspired.
Yep, and it's nice that they're calling him Deathstroke again because he was badass on Teen Titans. It just always kind of bugged me that they called him Slade.
Yeah, Deathstroke definitely sounds more right.
Alright, so out of 10.
Definitely have to give that a 9. I love the artwork. I love the story. And DC's just been on a roll this year from all the books I've been reading from them. I haven't seen their artwork be this great. I really like that DC seem like they really got a coherent path laid out for them, at least as far as the comic books go. I can't say the same for the movies, but comic books, they seem like they're really doing some great stuff right now. This is definitely no exception.
Alrighty, so what we got for our blast from the past?
Well, we're going to take you back to 1992 this time. I'll admit I'm not the biggest fan in the world of this character, but it's Luke Cage. He just called Cage here.
Yeah, Luke Cage, the hero who's cage-free, but not cruelty-free.
Yeah. Of course, we see the Punisher as the guest star, but I will say looks can be quite deceiving on the cover, as we'll soon see how it plays out inside.
So he doesn't beat up Tombstone?
Well, you see what I'm saying. Like, you probably be severely disappointed by how much the Punisher's really in this story. So we see a flashback to Luke's early days as a gang member, pretty much fighting against some rival gang members earlier in his life as a teenager in the 70s.
Looks like he's fighting the Yakuza.
No, that's some Latino gang. Of course, the gang is after him and his friend. Luke Cage goes home to get away from him, where he's quickly confronted by his father, who disapproves of his gang life. Luke thinks his father hates him, but his mother tried to tell him like they're trying to raise him right, basically, even though he doesn't want to hear it. They're trying to pretty much instill some type of self-love in him. And we flash forward to the present. Luke Cage about to go rescue somebody stuck in the elevator.
Hollywood.
Yeah, cool world. Yeah. Movie that used to be on HBO all the time back in the day.
And it wasn't that great, but it did answer the question, what would happen if you could have sex with a cartoon character?
Yeah. Interestingly, it hasn't been explored since either.
Well, they answered it pretty definitively. The world would be in peril.
Yeah. Like, Luke Cage jumps into the elevator to save the woman who's actually a journalist of the paper that's paying him to pretty much bring them the stories of his rescue missions. Of course, he rescues the woman. And then you see Dakota North, who I will say had a pretty underrated miniseries in the 80s. I wasn't really expecting to see her in this comic book. They're discussing how they might need Luke Cage for something. Here, we get a glimpse of the Punisher's van, even though they don't quickly make it obvious as he's the one who's driving it. But if you see the word War Journal, that kind of give you a clue as to who that is. Because there was a series called The Punisher War Journal around the same time. And we see the villains of this comic book just kind of thrashing around and kind of fighting with each other. They got some disagreements going on where everybody seems to agree they want Dakota North. They're going to try to use Luke Cage to get to her.
That's her. Prowler's got an ass on him.
Yeah. Here we see Luke Cage kind of lecturing a kid. They're about to walk into a bank robbery situation, which of course Luke will have to foil. Luke, of course, he makes quick work of the bank robbers, but then there's a guy here threatening to blow up the bank like he got a bomb on him.
Go ahead. I don't shop here.
And we go to another flashback of Luke's earlier days as a gang member.
Ironically, he watched a lot of Cobra.
Yeah.
That movie was so stupid, but I love it.
Yeah, it was like peak 80s Sylvester Stallone right there.
Believe it or not, that was the original script for Beverly Hills Cop.
I'm glad that didn't get made. That would have been a terrible movie then. Yeah. Of course, we see Luke Cage talking about how he be there for his brothers, so to speak. Then we flash back to the present. Luke's going ready to go visit Dakota North.
I love this expression right here.
Oh, which one?
Yeah,
because she got the gun to him. She know where to actually shoot him at too to make him hurt.
Yeah, he's literally gone white with fear.
Yeah, and she pretty much tell him like that she knows about his past. Cause like, of course, Luke thought he was going to just storm in there and kind of take control of the situation. Of course, you know, he was proven wrong. Then you see another flashback to Luke's early days. This time Luke's getting bailed out of jail by his father. Of course, his father's real angry too. His father talking about how he wants to find out who got his boy put in jail so he can go beat him up. Then next thing you know, they head to the place where they're gonna go get these files from. Luke ends up confronting the bad guys of this story. And forgive me here, kind of a lot going on. Of course, we see this big battle jump off, and there's like a fire going on in the building.
Wait, does that say Roger Clemens?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. This is an old book right here.
Must have been before he got hypnotized into thinking he was a chicken.
Yeah. Of course, we see Luke battle one of the villains as the other villains go to get Dakota North. Because that's the person they're after anyway, more than anybody. Of course, Luke is really slugging it out with this person.
Stop saying of course.
Okay. Then, as the battle continues, then we see the Punisher's van finally arrive. Luke pretty much slams this guy into the front of it, destroys the front of the van, which angers the Punisher.
Of course.
Yeah.
He just halved its resale value.
Yeah. Then Luke starts demanding information as to what's going on. And the guy tries to tell him, he better go attend to his friends, because Luke's friend Dakota North might be in grave danger. Of course, that's enough to get Luke off of him. Then we see another flashback right here to Luke's early days in the midst of a gang war. Then we finally see the Punisher. Punisher thinks Luke betrayed him. Luke doesn't really, of course, they kind of end this on a cliffhanger. It's actually part of a two-parter. The Punisher wants to know what's going on. He's like pretty much threatening to kill Luke unless he can tell him. This is the epilogue right here. See a man get stopped on the road. Turns out this man's wanted for something, but we're gonna find out this ain't no usual cop, because actually this is Power Man. That's like the end of this issue.
Isn't Luke Cage Power Man?
No, I don't think so. I think they call him Power Fist, I think.
I know his partner was Iron Fist in Heroes Inc.
I know he's Power Man here. Then of course they promised Luke Cage and the Punisher gonna battle in the next issue. That's the end of this part of the story. I will say I'm not really big into Luke Cage. I really only bought this book because it was only 50 cents at one of the comic stores me and you shop at.
I was not impressed with the art, I have to say.
Well, you gotta keep in mind, this is like a character Marvel didn't really care about, so you could tell they didn't really put much effort into it. Well, I do think the story was pretty good for what it was, considering I don't really care much for Luke Cage. Of course, I really only bought it because of this right here, the Punisher. Of course, he's like in very little of this book, so.
Alright, so out of 5.
I'll probably give it a 3.5. I think it's worth reading. It's just one of those, take it or leave it comics from the 90s. Like I said, I am glad they got Luke Cage out of his stupid outfit he was wearing in the 70s. Like I say, I just think as a character, Luke just kind of leaves a lot to be desired. And that's kind of a problem a lot of earlier black superheroes had.
Yeah. Alrighty, so we are officially back on our regular schedule. So we will see you in a couple of days with our next thing, which we're going to make a surprise, unless you want to give a hint.
Well, I'll just leave it as a surprise, yeah.
Alright, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And we will see you next time.
Yeah.
Love, peace, chicken grease.
Yeah, see you next episode.
Bye.